Hi, everybody. Welcome. This is a Facebook Live session. We're midday here on Wednesday, and I wanted to share some ideas that could help you improve your presentation skills, your ability as a speaker, and really rock whatever it is that you want to rock. Some of you are leaders in your organizations, and you find yourself presenting to a team all the time. That's fine. Some of you are perhaps in sales capacity, and you're selling to people, trying to get them to purchase something. That's fine too. Hey, Kellum. Greetings, my Sri Lankan friend. Some of you are in the speaking business, and that's cool. You want to get audiences to do something, maybe buy your book. Some of you are about to become an author, maybe, and you're going to go on a book tour. If you've got a specific goal, I'd like to hear from you. Hi, Victoria Williams. Welcome. And some of you have shared this with me already, not only in the Present Like a Pro Facebook group page, but also in Personal Messenger, and I appreciate that. I never want you to share anything that's personal or confidential in the public forum, but if you'd like to type into the comments section what it is that you're particularly working on, that would be great. Hi, Victoria. Hi, Kellum. There's a slight delay, guys, in the comments and questions that you post, so bear with me. So, whatever reason that brought you to this group, sometimes it's a personal or a present. You know, there are three tenses, right? Past tense, present tense, future tense. Almost nobody joins this group because of something that happened in the past. It's almost always because something is happening right now that you need to fix or improve. Something, or maybe you just know you're presenting way beneath your station, right? And some of you are getting ready for something in the future. Sometimes, some of you smart people don't even really know what that something is. You just know in 5 years you want to be doing something differently than what you're doing now. Maybe you want to get into become a high-priced consultant of some sort, right? It's a dream. You don't even know how you'd achieve it, but you know in your gut, you know in your mind that you want to go to this next level. And that's going to be critical. Hey, Renee, how are you? That's going to be critical to you as you come to decide exactly what you want to put into this. So I wanted to talk about what it takes to get from average to elite. I've been able to achieve this in a couple of different areas in my life, and you probably have too. But in particular, I want to talk about average presenters and average speakers and what it takes to get to that next station, should you choose to get there. And there are only 3 steps. Good, I'm glad you like this. There are only 3 steps to getting there, but they're kind of big steps. But if you've ever been on one of those big staircases where this, like in Europe, you know, the stairs, nothing's measured by OSHA in Europe, right? So the stairway can be steep, and the steps themselves can be very steep, much steeper than they are in the United States. And you know that it's not so bad to do that if you have a guardrail, or if you have somebody to hold on to, or somebody's helping you up that ladder, that stairwell. And so it's possible to do these 3 things with help, with focus, but probably not alone. My old saying is, if you could have done it alone, you probably would have done it already. So I just want to tell you a quick story to get started here. Hey, Heather, welcome. A quick story about an interesting conversation I had with a potential client 3 weeks ago, accent on the keyword potential. This high-priced sales manager called me a while back, and hey, Ted, how are you? This guy called me and he said, we've heard good things about you for sales coaching, and we're interested in maybe bringing you on board to talk to the team and help the team out. And I said, great. And I always ask, how did you hear about me? This kind of stuff. and he told me of a mutual friend that we had that had recommended me. And I'm taking notes, like a good person. Yeah, great. Thank you very much. Now, before we talk about what it is I can do for you, I think it would be very useful to talk about what the team needs. What does your team need? And I thought this was a totally reasonable question because he's the sales manager, right? Who knows the sales team better than the sales manager? What better person to ask this question? What do you need than the sales manager? And he kind of glossed over it at first. He kind of just gave me a backhand answer. He said, we're pretty good on most levels. And then he talked about something else. And I still got my pen in my hand, right? I'm still getting ready to write what it is I can do for these people. And mind you, I'm pretty good at what I do. I can figure it out, but it takes me longer. So it just it's helpful if any sales managers on the call, uh, if you ever call me for help, if you can tell me what it is that you want, we could save a lot of time, right? So I come back to this guy again, this sales manager, and I said to him, I'm sorry, maybe I missed it. We're both talking quickly here. But I asked you a few minutes ago, what is it exactly that the team needs? And then I was more specific. I said, do they need help with their content? Do they need help with call reluctance? Do they need help with closing? You know, are they doing referral selling? I gave him like 5 or 6 things to choose from. And his answer was fascinating. He said to me, well, actually, we're pretty good at all those things. Okay. I wrote that down. They're pretty good at all those things. And then I said, well, great, congratulations. And then I, of course, gave him a job, right? Because you're the sales manager. You must be doing great. I mean, your people don't need any help in the major categories. That's fantastic. And then we both sat back and patted him on the back for a few more minutes. And he said, yeah, I'm doing a pretty good job. I've been here for a while, been in the business a long time now. And I felt the call drifting a little bit from the initial question, which was our sales team needs help. So I brought him back to the topic again. I said, listen, I'm interested in helping. I need to know a little bit more about what exactly you need help with. Why do you think you need help? Why did you give me a call today? Right? So I'm becoming a little bit more direct in my query. And again, third chance now, this guy has a chance to give it up to me, and he doesn't do it. Now, I don't know, I still don't know the answer to this question. I don't know if he was unwilling or unable to answer the question. But here's how the call ended. You're going to drop your pencils when I say this. He said, well, we're pretty good in all those categories that you mentioned, Michael. I'm not really sure what you want me to say. And I said, well, I don't want you to say anything. I'm just asking you some simple, basic stuff so we can get to know each other. But I'll tell you what, sir, I don't think we're a good fit right now. And you could have, his chin hit the top of his desk. I could hear it on the phone. He said, what did you say? And I said, I don't think we're a good fit. And he said, well, why would you say that? I just called you for help and you're saying that we're not a good fit. We've only been talking for 12 minutes, which, by the way, was 10 minutes longer than I normally talk to a guy before I figure out what the problem is. He says, we've been talking. I've been answering your questions. Kind of true. And he said, why would you say we're not a good fit? And I said, because my best sales clients are people that actually have problems. And from what you've told me in our 12 minutes so far, the team's performing admirably. I've asked you 3 separate times, what exactly can I help you with? How do you know that the team could be doing better? And he just couldn't tell me. And because he couldn't tell me, I said, we're not a good fit. And he said, well, I'm sorry you feel that way. And I said, well, me too, but it's nothing personal. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. And we hung up the phone. And I lost a client that day. Now, the reason I tell you this story is because when you're trying to solve a problem, you must identify the problem, and you must identify it properly. Otherwise, your GPS is the problem, right? This is how to solve the problem right here, baby. See it? Head on, right? But if you don't solve the problem properly, the GPS points you over here or over here. You're headed in all kinds of directions. And this happens so often in the speaker coaching business. People will hire me and they'll say, okay, give me some tips. I'm like, man, you need a lot more than tips. I don't usually say it like that. Or they go, give me some, tell me what to say here. Because my presentation's Tuesday. Tell me what to say here. By the way, I have tips. I got tips up to here, man. I know my stuff. But most people that need speaker coaching don't need tips, right? We start with mindset. We start with shifting paradigms. We start with getting them to understand what's truly possible. We start with properly identifying the problem, ladies and gentlemen. Because most people that need help have not properly identified the problem. It's especially true in the speaking business. I've been saying for years that speaking is like driving. Most people think that they're pretty good drivers, and yet there's a lot of dented cars on the freeway. Most people think they are pretty good speakers, They haven't even begun to analyze what's wrong with their presentation or why they're not making six figures with the first figure 2. Right? Because if you're on this call today and you're earning your money through giving presentations and you're not earning six figures with the first number being 2, you're probably not as good as you could be. Would you grant me that? And so when people come to me and say, well, things are going pretty good, I know we've got to work through some stuff. And that's fine. So the first step, I told you I was going to teach you 3 things today in our short call. The first thing is you must properly identify the problem. And this is a sensitive area for people. It is so sensitive. I'll prove this to you in a second, how sensitive it is. I'm going to ask you to type your biggest problem in the comment section. And all of you will hear me. Most of you will understand the request, but hardly any of you will do it because you don't want to out yourself. If you're insecure in front of an audience, you'll never type that into the bar, and that's fine. You don't have to share it with everybody. But if I'm going to help you, or another speaker coach is going to help you, you're going to have to tell them. You're going to have to admit that. You're going to have to properly identify the problem. I'm insecure. Lead flow. Thank you, Ted, setting a good example. And Ted runs a good business. He's very talented at what he does. He's in the HVAC space, and he's rocking it in Colorado. I know he is because I know some of his affiliations. But he knows probably that he could do better. In fact, we've openly talked about it. I've told him I know I can do better. You see? And I know what my problem is. If I could take a second here and type for you, I would tell you my single biggest problem. I'll just share it. My biggest problem is I travel a lot. I travel so much, I don't have time to work on my own business. I don't have time to properly systemize my leads and get them going. People send me an email, I might get back with them 6 months later and they go, where were you when I needed you, pal? Right? So I'm not organized enough. Renee says she doesn't practice enough. I don't know if Renee's talking about herself or me. And Brian Hall says, getting more speaking opportunities. Okay, Brian, good. This is a step in the right direction, everybody. Heather says, speaking without a script and making it entertaining. Excellent. Because once you know what the problem is, we can address it. You understand? Now, there's a little wrinkle to this identifying the problem thing. And some of you will identify with this. I certainly do. Sometimes when you think you know what the problem is, sometimes when you're absolutely sure what the problem is, you're wrong. Ha! Sometimes when you think you know what the problem is, you're mistaken. Now that's a mind blower, right? You think you have the GPS headed in the right direction, but the GPS is miscalibrated. Remember, we're still on step 1 of the 3 things I'm going to show you today. The first one is properly identify the problem. And sometimes we're wrong about that. So I'm here as a coach on the Present Like a Pro Facebook group page to help you get to the truth. You know, I'm not like Jack Nicholson in A Few Good Men. You can't handle the truth. Oh, I think you can probably handle it, but you're going to need help getting there. You probably, if you're like most people, you need help getting to the truth. You need help getting clarity. That's what a coach does, right? A coach is not subjective like you are about yourself. A coach is objective, right? Sees it in a different direction. What is this? It's lotion. Happens to be St. Ives lotion. Hi, Kellum. Kellum asks, how do you make sure? Let's talk about that in a second. This is lotion, right? St. Ives lotion. And you can tell it's St. Ives lotion, but you can't tell what's inside, but you're pretty sure. Yeah, to my point earlier, sometimes you're really sure what you're looking at, but you're wrong, right? This could be vinegar and oil for the salad dressing. It's lotion, I'm pretty sure. Don't make me taste it. It's lotion. And if you look at it from the front like this, it's lotion. You even know what kind of lotion it is. And they all have flavors now, you know, like mocha, chocolate mocha, raspberry and cream lotion. You don't even eat it, but it's called raspberry and cream. And you know that because of the label. But if I show you the same thing from this angle, you're not quite sure what it is anymore, are you? You might get lotion, but you don't know that it's St. Ives lotion, and you don't know that it's mocha flavored. You see? And you look at yourself like this. This is what you think you see. But a coach looks at you like this. This is what you are, baby. You see? Objective, subjective. And that's what you need to get ahead. That's what anybody needs. If you look at all the great people, certainly look at athletics, every single one of them has a coach. Golfers, baseball, baseball has fielding coach and a hitting coach. You know why? Because the same guy can't help them with both. So properly identifying the problem, really, really important. Callum, the answer to your question, how do you make sure, is you get a second opinion. Same thing if you went to the doctor and you got a diagnosis. By the way, we only get a second diagnosis for diagnosis that we don't like. Did you ever notice that? And the doctor goes, yeah, you're completely healthy. All your numbers are great. You're going to live another 50 years. Nobody ever says, I'm going to get a second opinion. But if the guy says you've got 3 months to live, you're dying of whatever, the guy goes, I want a second opinion. Fascinating. But it's the second opinion. And Ted's right. You can't read the label from inside the bottle. How cool is that? If this is you, right, you can't read your own label from inside the bottle. Unless you're Snapple, which has a message on the inside of the lid. See from different angles. It's exactly right, Kellum. Or as Ted would say, from the inside. Beautiful. You guys are plugged in today. I love it. So that's the number one thing. You have to properly identify the problem, and you have to get confirmation that that's the problem. You can't trust your own judgment because you're subjective. You're the last person, actually, to make this decision about what's wrong with your presentations, or why you're not making enough money, or why you don't have lead flow, or why you're about to get fired from your job, or why you can't take 6 weeks vacation per year instead of only 1 week vacation per year, or why your wife is on you all the time. Doesn't have to be the wife, could be the husband, is on you all the time for living beneath your station. Or why you can't sleep at night because you know it's true that you're living beneath your station. I'm not saying you have any of these problems, but some of you have all of them, right? So the first step is to properly identify the problem. The second step, write these down because you're going to have to cook on these. These are pretty big things, guys. These are these steep stairs that you cannot walk alone. The second one is, once you properly identify the problem, you have a simple decision to make. Are you going to blame someone else for the problem, or are you going to own it? It doesn't matter what the problem is. Let's say, as a speaker, you're insecure. You got that from somebody. You understand that, right? You got it from mommy, or you got it from daddy, or you got it from your third grade teacher who embarrassed you on your first puppet show. But you got it. And ever since then, you've been blaming that other person, right? And by the way, you might be technically correct. They might have put that traumatic injury in your brainstem to cause you to be this way. I'm not saying you're incorrect about the fact, hey, Jeff, how are you? Talented salesperson, this Jeff Jones guy. Jeff feeds his family. Jeff buys all of his toys based on his presentation skills. On the month that his personality and his skill set takes a hiatus, he feels it. He owns his own business. He kills his own meat. He drags it back home. He throws it over the fence. This guy, Jeff Jones. And he's good. But he can't afford to take a month off. None of us can. Not if we want to maintain our standard of living. So now that you've properly identified the problem, you need to own the problem, not blame somebody else. That's easy. Everybody blames somebody else. Everybody's got daddy issues and mommy issues and spousal issues. I'd like to quit my job, but my spouse won't let me. Right? I could be better at what I do, but I need to help my kids with their homework. Now you're a martyr blaming your kids. Right? You'll never see that. You just think you're being a good dad. And maybe you are a good dad. But the coach or whoever's looking at it from this angle says, here's what I think's happening. We got to find a way to be a good father and get better at your presentation skills. You see? Because when you get to that fork in the road about owning it or blaming somebody for it, you will never fix it. Listen to me carefully now. You will never fix it if you blame someone else for it. Pause for effect. You see? If you blame your sales managers for your failures or your crappy product or your crappy customer service at your company, you will never take ownership of your failure as a presenter, or a presentator. Does that make sense? If you don't own it, it's not yours. If it's not yours, why would you fix it? Does anybody ever rent a car and then go get it washed? No, it's not your car. Would you ever rent a car and the oil light goes on? Like sometimes I'm traveling, I'm out on a speaking tour, the oil light goes on in the rental car. I don't go change the oil in the rental car. It's not even my car. But as soon as it happens in my car, I got that stupid sensor where the seasons change and the tire pressure gauge goes on. I go change the tire pressure. I'm like religious about that stuff. Because it's mine. I own it. You see? I fix stuff that I own. I don't fix stuff that other people own. And so when you get to that fork in the road about the problem and the problem that needs to be solved, or more likely the problem that should be, love that air quotes, should be solved, you are only inclined to fix it if you believe you own it. And if you don't believe you own it, the problem continues, which is why a lot of people's income is flat year to year. A lot of salespeople's income, flat year to year. Other people are making more money in your business. There's a salesperson at your company making twice what you make, selling the same crappy products with the same crappy customer service desk. But if you're like most salespeople, who give presentations for a living, you're blaming other things, extrinsic forces, right? Mommy, daddy. I'm a Leo. He's a Sagittarius. It's all in this birth sign. It's crap. I've been on more, and this is just about selling everybody, because a lot of people give presentations that don't sell, right? But if you're in sales and you give presentations and you're not getting better year over year and you're not measuring it, it's not showing up someplace, something's really wrong. You're broken. I was broke for years in both expressions. I was broke, didn't have any money, and I was broke in terms of my sales skill set. I was like that television show, Arrested Development. I had flatlined, not growing anymore. And employers were happy to keep me around because I wasn't trouble. I wasn't growing, but I wasn't trouble. And this is what pisses me off the most about people who say they're on our team. Sales managers, bosses, owners of companies. They say, well, you're part of our family. They always give you the group hug when they say that. You're part of our family. Yeah, I care about you like family. But they don't care to measure your success. They don't care to make sure that your income's 25% or 50% higher than last year. They don't make that their mission. You know why? They don't own it. They think you own it. And you think they own it. Oh my God. First step, properly identify the problem. Second step, own it. Not blame it, you own it. 3 things I'm going to teach you today. So then you start measuring your success. How do you know for sure where you are? You can start measuring your success. The easy way to do that is revenue. If people are paying you fair market value for your presentation skill set, right? You're worth $82,000 a year or $42,000 a year or $142,000 a year. That's what you're worth. I'm simplifying. I realize you may probably do other things than presenting. But if presenting is one of the things that we're asking you to do at work, that's what you're worth. And if that measurement doesn't change, you're not getting any better. Or at least the fair market's not recognizing it in you. So you measure other things. One of the things I've been doing on the group page this week has been asking people, how do you know if you're successful with your presentations? And a stunning number of people on the Facebook group page, that's why I'm so glad we started this page, a stunning number of the people say, I just know. Right? And some say, I know I'm not successful. And I say, how do you know? Tell me more. And they can't tell me how they know for sure. There's no measurement. There's all kinds of ways to do this. You can measure audience participation. You can measure your CTA or call to action. You can measure how many people raise their hand when you ask a question, right? You know it's true for everybody in the room, but only 25% of the people are raising their hands. Well, something went wrong there, right? One of my favorite questions, I'm always riffing when I do this, but I always say, how many people are here today? And I raise my hand, how many people are here today? And never, not once in 20 years, over 2,000 paid presentations in 5 continents, 49 of the 50 states, never once has the entire audience raised their hand to answer the question, how many people are here today? But it gets a big laugh, and I get, 90%. My point is, you can measure the success from call to call, and you have to do that. It's the only way you know that you're successful. When I work with people, we always measure. We get a baseline, where are you now? And then we get a baseline at the end of the 6-week program. We even have targets, specific targets. And by the way, baby, I don't aim for the target. I aim for the bullseye. I'm not about approximate success. I'm not about, you did a pretty good job helping me, Michael. I'm about a grand slam home run, 3 guys on base, right? I'm not a singles guy anymore. When I was a kid, when I was just entering the business and I only knew a little bit about speaking, I was a singles guy. I would bunt to get you on base or to move you from first to second. I still do that from time to time, but that's not what I get paid for anymore. I get paid for doubling your income. I get paid for getting you a promotion. I get paid for getting you sleep at night, which you're currently not getting because you're not performing at your station. Speakers. Like I'm in church today, preaching. But maybe some of you need the sermon. I don't know. I'm teaching you 3 things today. You got 2 of them so far. Identify the problem. Properly identify the problem. Second, you're going to get to a fork in the road between blaming others for the problem and owning the problem. And if you're not taking this fork in the road, owning the problem, I will tell you, just like I told the guy at the beginning of the call the other day, I can't help you. I'm sorry, we're not a good fit. No hard feelings. Because if you're blaming other people, you're not even ready to fix it. You're not ready to fix it if you're blaming other people. If you own the problem, you're ready to fix it, I can help you. You understand the mindset shift? This is a huge shift for a lot of people. Certainly a lot of clients who are calling me. I mean, you wouldn't want to work with people that don't want to fix the problem, would you? It sounds cold, but fortunately at this stage in my career, I can be a little picky about who I work with. And I do plenty of charity work too, by the way. I've got some Rotarian friends on the call. I help people. So what we're hoping to do with this 3-step program is get you to a place at number 3, which is that you're actually committed to fixing the problem. You're actually ready to fix it. And very few people get to that place. You think about how many amateur softball players there are out there that are never going to get to the big leagues. They love baseball, but they're never going to get there. They just keep playing softball. And they like softball. Every weekend they play softball. Every Tuesday night they play softball. That's fine. No growth, flatline, right? Good hobby, get some exercise. But when you identify the problem, when you own it, you are committed to fixing it, and then we take you to the big leagues. And that's when everything changes. I have friends that describe this process, this mindset shift, this mindset mastery. They say it's simple, but it's not easy. Ted knows the phrase. It's simple, but it's not easy. And it's especially simple if you're working with somebody who knows what they're doing. So that's all I want to share with you in this call. Those 3 things: that you would first properly identify the problem, that you would secondly own the problem, right? That's the shift. You own it. And when you own it, you're more obligated, not inclined, you're obligated to fix it, which means you would find the time and the resources to get her done. So I think this type of conversation is important. I'm glad to provide it. The full recording is going to be in the timeline of the Present Like a Pro Facebook group page. So you can watch the whole thing there at your leisure tonight. You want to share it with somebody that you're working with, that's fine too. And more good stuff to come, everybody. Our group is now at about 125 members and growing. It's only been in existence for 9 or 10 days. So I think eventually we're going to see thousands of people in this group. And that's cool. We want to work with the people who really want to change, who really want to take things to the next level. And I'm so glad that you're with us. Please share your comments about this Facebook Live, especially if there was an aha for you, because we want to turn other people onto this idea. Share in the comments, and we'll see you again soon. Thanks, everybody.